Mike Florio has a new article, and I put it out as the poll of the day, brought to you by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. The perfect addition to any gathering. Each can only 100 calories, zero carbonation for easy sipping. You can find Surfside at your local bars and a convenient variety 8-packs at your local liquor stores. Must be 21. Please drink responsibly. And the poll has to do with Mike Florio's article. The headline is, Commanders seem to be laying the foundation for potential return to their old name. This is all an opinion piece from Florio, but some people are seeing how they're leaning into the past with the jerseys, which we talked about yesterday. And then if you watch the video that accompanied the video, the video which accompanied the reveal, it's all about connecting to the past. It's all about connecting history. History doesn't fade, they say. And so some people are making this leap. You can vote at Junks Radio. Do you believe they're laying the foundation for return to the old name? And you can chime in at 800-636-1067. It is open line Thursday.
I'm telling you, no, they don't. I don't think Harris has any desire to. Honestly, I don't think he does. I think he's okay with it, and he's ready to move on.
Valdez, I should have told you before, and I don't know if you have it ready. If you play the video, I've been with you. I've been 100% no. But if you watch it, and I was like, I actually had a little inkling, like, oh, maybe
what video?
The video that comes with the reveal, the Commanders. If you go to Commanders on Instagram or
they've been doing
Facebook,
this for years, though. Even when Jason Wright was there,
but
they were doing this.
This seemed like the most. I mean, the jerseys are basically the exact same jerseys of the Super Bowl winning years.
Right.
All right. You still got the W, whatever. But it made me think like he might just say F it. I don't think so. But maybe he'd just be like, F it. I'm going to bring back the name.
It's not that simple. Here's the problem. It's not that simple. As soon as they do it, you're going to expose yourself to the same problem that Dan had. Even though culturally we've shifted again, and I think we're more on the right side of things, like we don't have to be crazy about words and names and get out of control. There's still going to be a percentage of people that are going to hold that over you. You're going to have businesses that could potentially hold that over you, and you're going to be in a spot. I don't think they're going to expose themselves to it. They're just not.
If Northwest Credit Union is saying, you know what, we're going to pull our money.
Yeah.
If you go back to the Redskins. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. They may.
No, but it makes you vulnerable to it, potentially. Yes. And why open yourselves up to that risk? Any business that they do, that's a new hurdle now. Listen, I would love the name to be Redskins. I think it's so dumb that they changed it and caved. But the market spoke. People pulled their money. They're not going to expose themselves to it. I don't care if Trump gives them cover or it's because they're now going to be exposed to whenever the wind blows, some company that wants to make a name for themselves and say, you know what, we don't like the name. We're pulling our advertising. They're not going to expose themselves to it. They're flat out not going to do it.
I tend to agree with you. Florio connects a few dots. Now he's making leaps when he's connecting these dots. If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067, but he points to last May, Coach Quinn wore that T-shirt with the old logo to a presser.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's saying is like the team had no comment on it. He's saying that it felt like a trial balloon. Again, I said this is an opinion piece, right? So
didn't Dan just say he wore a shirt, he thought it was cool because someone sent it to him? I tend to believe that.
Yeah, it was probably not a hidden message.
I don't think Dan doesn't care.
Florio, I can understand why Florio's throwing this out there because he wants people to read it, right? He knows Redskins fans.
That's what he does. He likes to read into everything.
Right.
No, but
but hold on. But Florio knows that Skins fans still do want the name back. He knows that.
The over 40 crowd.
He knows Josh Harris, wants to get away, wants to have his own logo, his own team name. He knows that. But doesn't mean he's going to be back to the Skins.
Okay, but he's got that.
I mean, the name change could be a name change, but back to the Skins is probably not it.
Again, he's connecting the dots where he's got the Quinn T-shirt. All right, you can say no big deal. You've got this video, History Doesn't Fade. You've got the move to go back to RFK. They're trying to do everything from the past.
I'm just telling you, it exposes
and you've got Trump
them too much. It doesn't matter.
I know it's just a little comment, but that's what people are trying to put together. Again, if I go to our poll at Junks Radio, I would vote no.
I think the speculation by Florio, it's interesting, maybe not serious, but what he is speculating is that Harris actually wants to change the name, but knows he can't change the name, right? Because of all the blowback.
But I think it's way bigger than that.
It is. So what he is speculating is that Harris is potentially counting on, or the possibility that Trump could force him to change the name back to Redskins to get the stadium in D.C.
I understand completely.
Trump can push it across the finish line by threatening D.C. Council and threatening to either pull the stadium lease or punish D.C. any way he can if they don't approve the stadium deal.
But it still exposes them forever. They're always exposed.
No, not necessarily if Trump is the president is the one that is forcing the name change as part of the stadium.
Doesn't matter. There could be advertisers like Coca-Cola or the FedExes of the world.
Yes, you're right.
They'll say, but you know what? We just don't want to be associated. And believe me, I think it's insanity.
Florio says this is all the cover that Harris needs, is the push from the president to get the name back.
It could be the cover he needs to get the name back. Sure. But then what's he going to do a year from now when Coca-Cola and Northwest and every other company out there decides, because the winds have changed politically again, that it's bad news again?
Right.
They're not going to expose themselves
after Trump's out of
it.
office.
Yeah, they're not going to expose themselves. Now we have a left-wing person that's taking down all the statues again and all the names again. We go through the whole
It wouldn't be
circus.
worth it.
The other thing is,
they're not going to do it.
They really have leaned into Commanders. I mean, just listen to how Adam Peters talks about players, and Dan Quinn talks about finding Commanders. There's an effort to he's a commander. That's a commander. We just drafted a commander.
I agree.
They're flooding the market with Commanders.
I looked at Josh Harrison, and when he said we can't change it back for obvious reasons, I looked at him right away and I went, "Oh, he actually thinks it's okay." He actually agrees with it. I actually think he agrees with it.
So you don't think he'd ever change it off Commanders?
No, I think he was offended by it.
Yeah, he might be right.
You know what I mean? I think he's been guilted into thinking it's bad or something. My personal opinion.
This is from Axios.
How I read it.
From Axios, they say this is what they're hearing, that Commanders executives stepped up their lobbying on Tuesday, telling D.C. council members that Trump's involvement could introduce volatility that the team and Mayor Muriel Bowser would like to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, they're trying to get it done. We talked about this last week, I guess, when you were out, and I mentioned this a couple days ago. Mayor Bowser did say her level of concern was a 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, that deadline's in 5 days.
Right.
I mean, they ain't going to hit that deadline.
I figure it's politics. It's shady. Somebody will pay somebody off or something. Somebody will give something somewhere, and it'll get across the finish line. I'm not saying the Redskins will do it, but I mean, something will happen.
But the thing is, right now,
somebody's palm will get greased.
Right now, in terms of the federal involvement, DC has the 99-year lease on RFK. That's what kind of opened the door for the potential move to RFK. Just need those damn council members to rubber stamp it. I mean, and they're not doing it.
They're holding out.
Would Trump really throw down and try and force these council members?
Well, I could see him doing that.
He's got bigger fish to fry.
He does, totally. But I can see him pumping his chest up and saying, "Hey, yeah, I got him to get back to Redskins," which I think would be great. But they're not going to expose themselves to all the future complaints and picketing, and if they're going to hire some crazy unknown Indian group to stand out there and protest, now you're in a pickle. They're just not going to expose themselves to it. So they wouldn't even put a friggin' spear on the uniform that people were begging for.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
The July 15th deadline, Phil Mendelson, who is the DC council chair, said it's not going to be met. So I don't know what that means after that. I don't know what that means for July 16th.
There'll be a new deadline.
Yeah.
The deadline
is July 31st.
Random. They want to get it done as soon as possible, but they make a deadline, but whatever. You're still years in the future.
All right, we got a bunch of people that want to weigh in.
All right, let's do it.
Right now, if you look at our poll, it's only been up for a couple of minutes. 74% do not believe that the Commanders are laying the groundwork for potential return to the old name.
Yeah, I don't think.
By the way, Florio couched it. It's laying the foundation for a potential return.
Right. He likes to put out all the hypotheticals, and that's what he's doing right here. All right, let's go. Let me see here. Let's go to Scott in Salisbury. Scott, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, Junks?
Hey, Scott.
Man.
What's up?
I can kind of see both sides of this story. And for me personally, I grew up as a Skins fan, and I still call them the Skins. But I understand that the market now is drawing people under the Commanders' name. But if you think back to when Schneider was forced to change the name, it was because of the money. Everybody was pulling the sponsorship from the
They're not going to expose themselves to that again.
But wait a minute. When you start winning championships or start going to the playoffs and start becoming popular and selling Jaden Daniels jerseys, that money's going to come back to you. That money's going to be people chasing you to be the sponsor. Because who doesn't want to just say somebody leave like?
All right. So what happens when they start losing?
Well, once you win championships, you're in that realm of like a Chiefs team or a Green Bay team where you just become a staple. You don't worry about all the controversies around.
All right, but you
got to win it.
But you got to win championships.
But we've talked about this. The winning, they've won under Commanders. So before the Detroit Lions game, I happened to go to Dick's on a Saturday morning. Or actually, before the Eagles game, after they beat the Lions. That place was jumping. They had like a party. They had a Commander's tent. Everywhere you could see, they had a DJ. They had face painting, and everybody was just gobbling up Commander's gear. And then a few months ago, we talked about that survey, and maybe it wasn't that many people, but according to DC residents, and I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, 1 year ago, only like 39% of the people liked the name. And then this year it was like 61%. Because they started winning.
It grows on you.
It grows on you. And then the younger generation, we've said it over and over again. They don't care.
They don't care.
They're growing up, a 6 and 7 year old kid. They're growing up. That's all they know is Commanders. And now they love Jaden Daniels. Like the traditions that they put out in this video is true. You grew up with Joe Gibbs and Super Bowl wins and Dexter Manley and John Riggins and all these greats. That was the Redskins. Well, now these kids, they're growing up with Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, and they're Commanders.
Well, why are they using old uniforms then?
Because they're still trying to get the old people to spend money.
You can't tell me the old era means nothing anymore, and it's only about 20-year-olds.
No, and then it means something. It's just too many hurdles.
Oh, I know. I'm just don't know what JP's saying. JP always says young people don't care about the name.
They want to be as close to it as they can. They want to be as close to it and embrace all that.
Yeah, they want to have their cake and eat it too.
Why wouldn't they?
They actually want to do both.
Why wouldn't they have changed the uniforms completely, not just alternate?
Well, they probably will. That's what the speculation is.
Maybe
they'll change those next year.
Do you think they're laying the foundation to change the name?
I've always thought that. Not back to Redskins. I just don't think they're happy with Commanders. But you can't tell me the name and old era means nothing anymore. It's only about 20-year-olds when they're bringing out the
saying that.
Super Bowl.
You're not listening. I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything.
You said it so many times over the last few months.
I didn't say it means nothing. I'm saying that there's a new generation that is going to be very happy with the Commanders name and what's happening now, and they're building that new tradition with that name. At the same time, they can play to nostalgia and sell jerseys and make money. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think the whole thing is embarrassing and humiliating. I'm just so embarrassed but
there is something to be said for if Josh Harris doesn't want anything to do with what
too much exposure
Schneider had. If he wants to have his own spin, he wants his own company, his own team, his own logo, his own team name.
I think he just wants to
his
win.
own stadium.
I just think he wants to win. I think he's leaving the stadium not because it's Dan's, but because it sucks. I think he just wants to win.
No, I know that's why he's leaving the stadium, but there might be. I'm not saying he's going back to Redskins, but he might want to change the name just because he doesn't want to inherit Commanders.
The problem with that is now you're in a whole new can of worms. And you have a bunch of people pissed off at the new one.
Yep. All right, got a bunch of people want to chime in. We'll come back with your calls at 800-636-1067. We're the Junkies.